Hello and welcome to the Sola Shraya podcast. We are your hosts, Bhakti Jake and Balaram Shakti Das. We are devoted to bringing you ancient wisdom for the modern day. Join us as we read the Krishna book by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, and let us share with you the wonderful shelter or ashraya of our dear Lord Krishna. Please join us in the sublime process of transforming our consciousness by hearing and discussing spiritual concepts. Balaram, it is very nice to see you today. I see you're back in the office. I am in
Nice to see you
my
too.
office.
Yes.
So it's nice to
Yeah.
see you back in the office. Yes.
Yeah, we're very fortunate to be back in Tucson. Krishna's divine arrangement that I have a load delivering to Phoenix tomorrow morning. So be here for the Sunday feast and was at a initiation ceremony last night in El Paso, the famous New Neelachal Dham that I've mentioned before.
Yes.
So that was really beautiful. There's one new initiate and um, three god siblings taking second initiation.
Yeah.
It's really wonderful seeing people really step up their game, or just I don't know if step up your game is a very helpful phrase, but just like continue um what's steadfastly, you know,
Yeah.
and taking it seriously.
Yeah.
And you get the empowerment, right? Second initiation means Brahman initiation, which means basically the priestly order. Something I was reflecting on. Um, so it's like the reason for taking that initiation is actually so that you are authorized to perform um, religious rituals like deity worship, um, Vedic sacrifices, and so forth.
Mm.
And it also, most importantly, it connects you with the Gayatri mantras, which are very powerful in awakening your particular relationship with the Lord.
Yes.
But I was thinking about that first aspect and how it's sort of like to be a priest, like to be connected, to be authorized and empowered to do that. It's sort of like you're an adult now. Like Prabhupada said, it's like he's considered a full-fledged Vaishnav, something like that,
Mm.
right? Um, not just that you're a student, of course, you're always a student, but it's like now he can kind of like make his own decisions. Um, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you're an adult,
Yeah.
but in a spiritual sense, you're an authorized representative. You're an authority. So it's like, what does that mean? I was reflecting on like, what does that mean? It's like, yeah, we're taking conscious responsibility for our spiritual life, and with that step, the empowerment sort of meets you there. Anyway,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's beautiful because you see these individuals and say, yeah, that's someone that I can turn to, you know, and find shelter, find a shraya in that person, ask questions and know that I'll get a good answer and that person will be spiritually available, right? Like that's the point. That's what I'm seeing. Others may see differently, but I think the real goal of our movement, aside from our personal quest for prema bhakti, but on a very practical, down to earth level, it's to be spiritually available. What does it mean to be a preacher of spiritual movement? it's like you're available. It's not just that I'm gonna throw book knowledge at you, and then when
Right.
you actually need help, that I'm like, oh well,
Right.
right. So it's we should we should come to that platform where we feel confident, you know. So I see that as what um the gurus in our movement who are doing well are doing. They're passing on this sense of empowerment.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyway, that was to be a part of.
Yeah. Yeah. I tell you what, that's good. That really kind of energizes me, that I like to hear about that, that it's always upward and onward, and that it's like, we like there's you don't just hit the ceiling in this thing and that's it, there's always higher levels. And I what's the old saying? Higher mountains and deeper oceans, I guess. You can go higher and you can go
Valleys,
deeper. Yeah. Yeah. Valleys,
sure.
oceans, seas. Yes.
Yeah. Those
There's
things.
you can keep on going. It is the main thing, I guess. And so that's good to hear. I love to hear that. That's awesome. So that was out in El Paso, Texas, is where the wow, that just I
One
might
of the
have
most vibrant
wow.
communities you'll see anywhere. Yeah.
Like, that is
Mhm.
so I don't know if I always do this when you tell me that, but that is just that is also very reassuring to know that is a vibrant scene in, of all places, El Paso, Texas. Now it's probably a totally different place, like Dallas even is probably a totally different place. They got flying cars there, I know, but but I guess that I'm just that's good news to hear. Basically, it's good news to hear. So yeah, that's exciting. I like to hear about that for sure. Well, I tell you what,
Yeah.
you want to get right into it here, get right into the book.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
I will bring up, I will share screen the, the prayers first of all. Say our prayers.
Yeah. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Okay. All right, let me bring up the text.
Yes, so we were in the midst of a Krishna party in our last
Yes,
episode.
yes.
Transcendental, like nothing you have seen in this earth. I was hearing something really profound, amazing on the drive up here about pain and how we try to avoid pain, right? Thinking that it's getting in the way of our pleasure. And with I won't get too much into it. So I say, but you know, we're moving through this world thinking that pain is an obstacle. Oh, Karina. All right,
Thank
Krishna.
you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
We're segueing from our previous episode on a party and how we think due to fear of pain, actually, we're all afraid of feeling pain because it doesn't have any meaning in the context of what we understand this life to be vis-a-vis pursuit of pleasure, right? Pursuit of happiness, right? That's everyone's. So that obviously must mean avoidance of pain, right? Because whenever I'm in pain, actually, this man brought an even deeper level of understanding that I'd never considered. That the people that we love, that we expect to be there for us in the pain, because they lose control by not being able to fix the problem and like make everything okay, it's fearful and they pull away. So, you know, as a child, we might have that experience where we get hurt and mom and dad don't know what to do, right? And it's like, this is too big of a problem. So they, instead of going deeper, you know, they pull back and you feel that. And it's like, oh, I get it. It's not okay to it's not okay to be in pain, right? I have to be strong. You know, I have to conquer this. And the more you experience pain, I don't know about you, but it teaches you that you cannot conquer me. I am unconquerable. I am pain, you know. It's like in Naruto, the pain arc is so good because it's that foe, that nemesis is like so powerful. He's like, what are you gonna what is your answer to pain? Just like fighting back and pushing back and I refuse to feel this. It's like it's unavoidable. So rather, you know, than okay, so connecting with the party life, right? It's like we're just going to pursue pleasure, pleasure, pleasure. In any place that we feel pain, we say, get out of here, right?
I love pain.
Because
I love it. I welcome pain. I
what we
want
can,
pain. I want to feel the pain.
why do you, why do you love pain?
Because then I know, because then I will understand this is a feeling. I'm feeling this feeling, and only God can help me with this feeling. It's a reliance on God, to rely on God. Like I say I like pain, but I actually don't. I was kind of being funny, but kind of being serious
I
at
thought
the
you
same time.
were.
Yes, because I do that. So what I'm saying is like, here's a very interesting quote from one of my favorite musicians. Um, I saw this little thing that Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers had said, one of these little things that they put on Instagram or whatever. And he said that when he got sober, when he got off of drugs and alcohol, he wanted to feel all the emotions, because by using those substances, he was covering up those emotions. So there, it's a good thing to feel pain sometimes, to feel emotion sometimes. Now, I'm not saying I want to feel pain all the time, right? I mean, no one wants to feel pain all the time, right? But
Yeah.
sometimes there's a healthy dose of pain. But I think what you're talking about is maybe a little bit different in the way that I want to experience like God's hand in my life, like Obviously I'm not going to make wrong choices that like put me into a bad position, but but the natural pains that come through our life, like no matter what, we should
I just
embrace
find
those. We
yeah,
should embrace those. You know, uh,
yeah,
there's a difference between putting yourself in harm's way stupidly and then just living your life and feeling the things that just come natural that are just going to happen, whether they're part of your karma or whatever it might be in life. So, yeah.
yeah, yeah. And what is that approach going to teach you about the world and about God? And this was kind of the central point he was making, is that pain is um or the ego is perceiving pain as something other than God. And the idea is like the ego is trying to convince you that there's something other than divinity in this world, and say, see, where is your God now? You
Mm,
know, I mean, that's everywhere in every atheistic challenge. It's like, where is your God now?
mm,
And it's like, so we experience pain, and as believers, it's like, I need to make sense of this. I need to have what control. I need to be able to control this,
mm,
to grasp this experience, because otherwise, yeah, I don't know what it is, and if I don't know what it is, it's probably not God. It's like, well, no, it's not about understanding. You can't come to a spiritual realization by understanding, but rather by surrendering. And so the pain is not a barrier to us, but rather an agent of transformation to get us to, yeah, to let go, in a sense, and to free us actually from the distractions that are keeping us from pure devotional service to the Lord, right? Because if it's all about partying and you never experience, the suffering that is very real in this world, and
yeah.
our ability to hurt each other through selfish intentions and motivations, so forth, you won't get it. You'll be up, you know, in this place,
Yeah.
this higher,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
holier than, and you don't actually go into the place that the divinity is really active.
Dude, that's it. That's it. Exactly. I mean, imagine being a successful rock star or a successful whatever. Well, I've got the money to pay for it all. I've got the ways and means where I don't have to face reality. I don't have to like face pain. So yeah, it's kind of like the same thing right there.
And how, I mean, tell us, like, how often are those people actually happy? Like, how does that dream, that American dream, that if you get enough resources, you can, how do you say, decorate your little bubble of what
Right.
you think will be like all, you
Yeah.
know,
I-
absolute happiness. And it's
it's
like the people that get there, they're just like,
yeah.
what the hell?
Yeah.
God,
Yeah. I know. It's
so
amazing. I
confused.
mean, yeah, it's amazing. It's really amazing how like the
I mean,
people,
you've been to the top, right, Jake?
I can only speak from my experience, you know, jet setter, you know. Yeah, back when we were on tour, it got pretty wild. you know, we went to Europe and I don't even remember like 9 weeks. I was just like, I had my glasses on and they would just like push me on a wheelchair onto the stage and just put a guitar in my hand. And that was like the show. And I made millions of dollars. I'm sorry. So anyway, anyway,
Yeah, it's not
um,
all so chalked up.
hey, that's a good segue. Can you tell I really want to get into the book? But no, that is true, Balaram. What you're saying is so true. I love it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. So it's, experiencing the pain. I'll try to give just one statement here. We like what you were saying earlier, like, that I actually have an appreciation for it. It's because it's giving me a very whole perspective of life, an inclusive rather than an exclusive. And that right there is the trap of this world, to live an exclusive life in kind of all senses, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Right? It's my happiness and everything else is excluded, you know, and you'll get angry at others who are not, definitely who are not on your side, but even those who are not on the other side either. It's like, what are you, a Democrat or a Republican? Like, which is it? It has to be one. It's like, no, it doesn't have to be one. It's like, what do you mean? It has to be. It's
Yeah.
like, well, that's your idea because you've, fixed yourself in exclusivity and duality.
Yeah.
So to embrace pain, it's like embracing a paradox, but in that experience, it's actually transformational because it breaks you out of your shell.
Yeah.
And anyway, forces you to grapple with the reality that everyone's fighting against.
Yeah.
You imagine what the world would be like if no one was fighting against their pain. So that is the world we're looking at here. So
Yeah.
this is not a world of people enjoying life. We're seeing here, they became very joyful. They
Yes.
began to throw various foodstuffs at each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, we like this stuff. It's fun, right? But it's not like they're doing this like, oh, now's our opportunity to binge, to go hard, and then tomorrow the
Right.
party's over and we're gonna be morose, we're gonna be hungover. It's not gonna be fun. We're gonna get irritated at each other all over again, you know,
Yeah.
until the next orgy or whatever. It's like that's not a healthy way to live. That's not how what's being presented here as spiritual life is. So rather, their embrace whole actually took form, you could say, and lived among them as Krishna. Very parallel to Jesus Christ.
Yes.
Right? So
Yes.
we're talking about Christ figures, which mean those who are um, actually of that nature of the universal soul.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so
Yeah.
I was gonna just maybe we last episode we left off when everyone's joined to celebrate Krishna's birth, and so they start throwing yogurt, milk, and clarified butter and water upon the bodies of the gopis, the cowherd women. Then they both started everyone's throwing food around, and it's like a party, and there were also many learned brahmanas present, and Nanda Maharaj, being very satisfied on this occasion, gave them different kinds of garments and ornaments and cows in charity. So that's where we left off last week. So here is where we are today. Do you mind if I take this paragraph right here?
Go for it.
All right. So, and I should also mention real quick, we are in the 5th chapter of the Krishna book. This is the context that we are at today. So it is very important to note in this connection how wealthy the inhabitants of Vrindavan were simply by raising cows. All the cowherd men belonged to the Vyasa community, and their business was to protect the cows and cultivate crops. By their dress and ornaments, and by their behavior, it appears that although they were all in a small village, they still were rich in material possessions. They possessed such an abundance of various kinds of milk products that they were throwing butter lavishly on each other's bodies without restriction. Their wealth was in milk, yogurt, clarified butter, and many other milk products. And by trading their agricultural products, they were rich in various kinds of jewelry, ornaments, and costly garments. Not only did they possess all these things, but they could give them away in charity lavishly, as did Nanda Maharaj. Um, you want me to keep on going, or
Notice how they didn't say their wealth was in US dollar.
yes, good point. Yeah.
Actually, someone right as I was leaving El Paso, we were talking outside the cars, and um, this one Prabhu, I think it was Kirtan Yogya, was saying how uh, Prabhupada talked about, Varnashram and people who work the farms. Now I'm gonna qualify this statement because I know it's not idyllic like this, of only working a couple months and
Mm.
then doing whatever you want the rest of the year. It's like it's hard work year round.
Oh yeah.
But the idea is that, there's mostly just a few months where it's like full time, you could say. I mean, if you have like a whole extended family there or a whole community based around it, like in an ideal setting. And the idea is like it frees up all of your time relative to or in comparison to the modern scheme, which is get a 9 to 5,
Yeah.
become a total slave, and just live paycheck to paycheck and not have free time to pursue yourself and to like give yourself to your community in a really satisfying, fulfilling way. And we've kind of like co-signed on this. Um, do you want to talk about that at all?
Well,
Either
I
of you?
can I can actually speak to that very quickly because I have an uncle who is like he's continued the family farm, um, and it's always very the reward in farming, because like no one in their right mind in this day and age would be a farmer, because things are just, I hate to say it, but I mean, they're like stacked up against you, I mean, you have a window of where you have to work no matter what. And it's like practically 24 hours a day for this like window of time, which is like 3 months, 4 months out of the year, in what he does anyway. And then like the rest of the time is just like it is kind of like getting ready for the next year when that happens. However, there's a lot of, I mean, to be in a 9 to 5 at a factory or something like that, I mean, it's convenient, but it's not very rewarding. Whereas he does have like some truly good rewards from being a farmer. Like just for instance, being out in the fresh air all the time, like yeah, using his mind and body, like
Right,
exercise like crazy
right.
every day, like my
Yeah.
uncle is what is he he's actually like in his 50s. He's like 55, 56. And I'm telling you right now, he he is I mean a manly man. You know what I mean? Like he is healthy because he's out there using his body, using his mind every single day. Now that's like one part of it. But the financial aspect of it is like if he wasn't born into it, I don't think he would be doing it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
it's almost like you got to be born into it these days. So
for sure.
yeah.
I
So
mean, you can definitely swim against the current, and get there, and that's super noble.
yeah.
Um, and I mean, there's definitely contingencies of people, particularly, in our devotee community that are wanting that and are
Mm,
working towards that.
yeah.
But yeah, we're not making any kind of statement like,
Yeah.
quit your day job and, buy yourself some open land, cultivate it. Because yeah, it isn't as practical. And there is a place in our just where we are in our evolution or like spiritual path, you could say that having a normal job is not bad. I was actually listening, I'd forgotten it for a minute, but I just remembered, I was listening to the Namras podcast
Hmm.
with oh gosh, the VP at the Brooklyn Temple. Totally spacing out. I'm
I
every now
think
and then.
I just saw that one. I can't remember who it was either, but I think I saved it. I'm gonna watch it later.
Okay. Yeah.
All us podcasters, we gotta stick together, you know. We
Hari
all watch
Valal.
each other.
Yeah.
I'm
Except
sure
for
Nam
all of
Ross
them.
does not watch us. Not yet, anyway.
Yeah. I met him in New York. He was really nice.
At Rath
He was
Yasha?
only able to, yeah, I was hanging out
Yeah,
with him
yeah,
and David Medeva for a minute,
you know.
but he had to go. Hari Vilas,
Oh
I
yeah.
believe. 99% sure. Anyway, he was talking with him about this sort of like zeitgeist of this like kind of impractical idealism of living on a farm.
Mm, yeah.
And it was just really refreshing to hear his angle because he was a stalwart brahmachari for many years. And then he left the ashram, got married, and did the right thing, got a normal job.
Mm,
And it's like he kind of pushes back against this idea. And it's like, it was really good for me to hear because if you scroll on Instagram for more than 15 seconds in any given day, you're going to see propaganda for this. Like, you should be living the life of your passion, and like everyone is pushing this like ikigai, kind of thing of your job must be your spiritual passion. And he was like, no, it doesn't. You know. Anyway, I'm not able to recall all of his points. You'll have to check it out. Um, but it's more about taking responsibility, and that is what you're going to get fulfillment in.
yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Yes. I guess I could speak to that a little bit because of my situation. I mean, you've been to my house. You know that it's like
total mess. How is he allowed to have children?
what?
No, I'm
What is
kidding. I'm kidding. I was an underhand pitch. I had to.
like having like conjuring like oh my goodness, like the guy from National Lampoons or something, right? You know.
Just don't
Uh,
understand why your kid was hanging by his ankles in that stairwell.
Get off the
Bizarre.
shed. So like you know, with my case where like I have enough land where I can have like a good sized garden.
Right.
And I mean, that thing could be like, I could be out there doing so much more with that, you know? So there's definitely something in that, that kind of a thing is doable. If you want to grow your own food, you can grow your own food just about anywhere. You can grow it on the roof if you have to, you know?
Right.
Like there is always that possibility. And so like I can tell you with that little garden that I have, I, I mean, that thing feeds me all summer long, like without a doubt. You know, it just produces amazingly. And it could just be that, you know, it's just the dirt up here in upstate New York. I mean, I've heard it so many times like, oh, this is the best dirt in the world. Oh, you know, all this stuff. I don't know if any of it's true, but
It is good soil. I mean, it's not the best in the world, but it's
with with just a little bit of land, you don't need that much. You just need a little bit, and you can feed yourself. At least help with the grocery bill for at least a season. You know, because you're get. I mean, I got potatoes, corn, tomatoes, asparagus. all kinds of berries, all kinds of stuff is coming up, like you don't at some point you don't even have to replant it because it's just going to grow again naturally. So it is possible to do that for sure, just about anywhere you live. With that said, I kind of want to read on this next paragraph.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like the only the best things that come out of my mouth in this podcast are when I'm reading. Those are the only good things that come out of my mouth.
Not true.
So okay. Thus, Nanda Maharaj, the foster father of Lord Krishna, began to satisfy the desires of all the men assembled there. He respectfully received them and gave them in charity whatever they desired, and learned brahmanas who had no other source of income were completely dependent on the Vyasa community, Vyasa community,
Vaishya.
Vaishya community for their maintenance, and they received gifts on such festive occasions as birthdays and marriages. While Nanda Maharaj was worshiping Lord Vishnu on this occasion and was trying to satisfy all of the people there, his only desire was that the newborn child, Krishna, would be happy. Nanda Maharaj had no knowledge that this child was the origin of Vishnu. He was praying to Lord Vishnu to protect him.
Wow.
Yeah, he didn't even know, but he found out. Okay, so I'll just read down one more. If that's all right, I'm going to read one more, maybe two more.
Go for it.
Okay. Rohini Devi, the mother of Balaram, was the most fortunate wife of Vasudeva. She was she was away from her husband, yet just to congratulate Maharaj Nanda on the occasion of the birth ceremony of his son Krishna. She dressed herself very nicely, and wearing a garland, a necklace, and other bodily ornaments, she appeared on the scene and moved hither and thither. According to the Vedic system, a woman whose husband is not at home does not dress herself very nicely. But although Rohini's husband was away, she still dressed herself very nicely on this occasion.
Okay, that's a very interesting.
Yeah, that is.
So let's back up a few steps here for the family tree.
Yeah, I was just that's what threw me off while I was reading. I was like,
Okay.
because it says was the most okay. Oh, okay, all right.
Okay.
I got it now. All right.
So you've got the previous paragraph, Nanda Maharaj, the foster father of Lord Krishna.
Yes.
So there is the birth of Krishna to whom?
Vasudeva.
Jay? Vasudeva and
Um Rohini.
no,
See,
she's
that's
not
what
mentioned.
yeah, see,
Yeah,
that's
that's what threw you off right there.
yeah.
Vasudeva and
Still throw me
Devaki.
off. What's going on?
Yeah. So Vasudeva has many wives, right? There's just a few prominent ones,
Okay,
namely
now
Devaki and Rohini. So when they were imprisoned, what I've heard on this is that Vasudeva instructed his other wives to go to Gokula, which is across the river, because they would be safe there with the cowherd village of Nanda, right? Are they? Gosh, no, I'm forgetting.
uh-oh.
Are they related biologically, Nanda and Vasudeva? I don't think so. Maybe they're. Well, I guess we'll find out. I apologize.
It gets crazy. I mean, apparently Arjuna is Krishna's cousin.
Yes.
Like, yeah, there's a lot going on. Like, yeah. I'm not going to speak
Yeah,
to that right now. I was just putting
Kunti,
it in there.
Kunti is Krishna's aunt. Kunti is the sister of Vasudeva.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty sure. Pretty sure Kunti is the sister of Vasudeva. And so then, um, anyway, the other wives, aside from Devaki, go to Gokula, and they're situated there under the protection of Nanda. So it's like one big family there, basically.
Okay.
So Vasudeva takes Krishna, places him in the birthing. There's a John of Apriya who just made an appearance.
Is that,
What?
is that who that was?
John of Apriya, you are live on the air. Take a seat, good sir.
We're here at New Neelashaw. That was just John of Apriya.
Join the conversation, my good friend.
Oh,
Obeisances.
yeah.
Pull up a chair.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
It's good to see you, Jake. Balaram.
Obeisances.
Kirtanya.
Hare Bol.
Hari Hari. Govinda.
Jai
This is
Jai.
Kirtan Yoga Prabhu. He performed the fire sacrifice yesterday. Community priest.
Yeah.
Kirtan Yoga would know if there's a Kirtan Yoga. Nanda and Vasudev, are they related biologically?
Sorry, Prabhu?
Nanda and Vasudeva, are they related biologically?
We're in chapter 5 of the Krishna book.
Yeah, I don't think so. Vasudeva.
What's their relationship?
They are kind of brothers.
Not biological brothers.
Maybe not biological, but I read once or I forgot in Krishna book.
It's on read. It must be coming.
You can find.
Okay.
You can find.
Very well.
I will.
Anyway, they're certainly like God brothers. They're both lovers of God. And sort of like Jake and I, kind of like brothers.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
Got the fraternal spirit. So, okay.
Yeah.
So is that clear? So Rohini is in the camp of Nanda, and her husband Vasudeva and his wife Devaki are imprisoned, right? So while it's like, all right, thinking about, your husband is in jail, right? Or not really jail, prison, the dungeon, you're going to a party. And so it's saying, according to the Vedic system, a woman whose husband is not at home does not dress herself very nicely. It's like, the idea is like, what is the image that you're putting out? If you're like dressing all nicely, it's like, your husband's not here. Does he know you're looking your best?
Yeah.
It gives the impression that you're trying to attract a
Yeah.
pair.
Right.
So it's like it's lower class. But what is being conveyed here is this community was so tight, like a family, that there was no suspicion. There was no kind of room for suspicion like that. So it's a really nice point that is being made here to illustrate the intimacy of this family.
Right. Okay. Okay. Cool. Cool. Very nice. Okay. I'm gonna keep on reading.
Sure.
Okay. So from the opulence of the birth ceremony of Krishna, it is very clear that at that time, Vrindavan was rich in every respect because Lord Krishna took birth in the house of King Nanda and Mother Yasoda. The goddess of fortune was obligated to manifest her opulences in Vrindavan. It appeared that Vrindavan had already become a site for the pastimes of the goddess of fortune.
Wow.
Very nice. Indeed. That is exciting. I guess it's still very rich to this very day, rich in spiritual entities and things like this, you know. Very, very wealthy still. So, okay. I'm gonna read on if
Hold on, Kirtan Yogya just sent a message that they're cousin brothers. So they're cousins, they are related.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Kind of like you and me.
No. Kind of.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
I should know that. I used to have the whole family tree like really down pat. So I thought, but anyway,
You know,
that's enough to know.
I keep on telling everybody that Robert Downey Jr. is my cousin, and they don't believe me. I mean, hello. Anyway, I'm sorry. I am so sorry. Moving on. After the birth ceremony, Nanda Maharaj decided to go to Mathura to pay the annual tax to the government of Kamsa.
So Mathura is where Kamsa and his prison with Vasudeva and Devaki are.
Right. It's like the Palace of Grayskull or something like that's like the image I get in my mind of, like this big dark like palace or something with like a lightning bolt behind it and a big skull for like a door, you know. Anyway, before leaving, he called for the able cowherd men of the village and asked them to take care of Vrindavan in his absence. When Nanda Maharaj arrived in Mathura, Vasudeva got the news and was very eager to congratulate his friend. He immediately went to the place where Nanda Maharaj was staying. When Nanda saw Vasudeva, he felt that he had regained his life. Nanda, overwhelmed with joy, immediately stood up and embraced Vasudeva. Vasudeva was received very warmly and offered a nice place to sit. Anxious about his two sons, who had been put under the protection of Nanda without Nanda's knowledge, Vasudeva inquired about them with great anxiety. Both Balaram and Krishna were the sons of Vasudeva. Balaram was transferred to the womb of Rohini, Vasudeva's own wife, but Rohini was kept under the protection of Nanda Maharaj. Krishna was personally delivered to Yasoda in exchange for her daughter. Nanda Maharaj knew that Balaram was the son of Vasudeva, but he did not know that Krishna was also Vasudeva's son. Vasudeva, of course, was aware of this fact and inquired very eagerly about both Krishna and Balaram. So these guys are meeting up, and finally they're going to be able to like sort it all out, basically. Like what happened, you know?
Well, we will see. But yeah, first of all, it's obvious that Vasudeva is not imprisoned. I'd forgotten that Kamsa released them, right?
Yeah, I forgot about that too.
But he's going to put him right back in prison. I thought he had done that on this scene in the last chapter. It appears not, because right, he was repentant and he's like, "You guys just please go, like be at peace," you know. So he's out, and so he meets with them, and so
you had a face-to-face experience with Durgama.
Yeah,
kind of changed his tune a little.
Changed his tune.
Which it would, wouldn't it?
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So Vasudeva is the only one that knows really what's going on. So Balaram was in Devaki's womb and then mystically was transferred to Rohini's womb. So Nanda is like, oh, well, she must have already been pregnant when she came here, right? And didn't think anything of it. Okay, Queen has to go. Haribol, thanks for
Yes.
jumping in.
Yes. Thank you.
Blessings to the El Paso
Thank
community.
you.
Okay.
So they were all in El Paso just now. That was from.
Yeah, that
that's
was New
great.
Nilachal.
Oh, that's great. Oh,
Yeah.
now we're all alone again. Party's over. All right.
Party is
Party's
always
just
going on.
done.
Yes.
All right. So
it's interesting because they're having this conversation, and it's saying like with great anxiety, he's like very anxious to hear. He's like, so how is your son? It's like Nanda doesn't even know that was, you could say, Vasudev's son. It's Supreme Personality of Godhead, but it's still, Vasudeva is obviously wanting to know for his own, the sake of his affection for his child.
Hmm.
And so they're about to enter this conversation with this like subtle thing, and I'm sure it's going to say this, but Vasudeva can't just come out and say, yeah, Krishna, that's my boy, actually, because if he were to say that out loud, he would immediately put Krishna in danger, because then Kamsa would know, oh, that son that's prophesied to kill me, he was born to Vasudeva, but he's hiding at Nanda's place, and he would put Krishna in danger. So he has to find out about Krishna without saying, and maybe we'll see if he's able to communicate that to Nanda without saying anything explicitly. So it's a very intriguing conversation here.
yes.
Okay.
Vasudeva then addressed Nanda, my dear brother, you were old and very anxious to beget a son, and yet you had none. Now, by the grace of the Lord, you are fortunate to have a very nice son. I think that this incident is very auspicious for you, dear friend. I was imprisoned by Kamsa, and now I am released. Therefore, this is another birth for me. I had no hope of seeing you again, but by God's grace, I can see you. In this way, Vasudeva indirectly expressed his anxiety about Krishna. Krishna was sent incognito to the bed of Mother Yasoda, and after Nanda very pompously celebrated Krishna's birth ceremony, he went to Mathura. So Vasudeva was very much pleased and said, this is a new birth for me. He never I'm so sorry,
Expected.
Sorry,
that
Krishna would live, because all his other sons had been killed by Kamsa, and they have been brutally.
Yeah.
So, okay. Should I keep on going here?
We should keep going.
All right, let's keep on going. I'm kind of reading everything. Do you want to read?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
How much time we have? I don't remember what time we started.
We are getting close. I think it was like 07, 08, something like that.
So 5, 10 minutes.
Yeah, 10 minutes. Let's just say 10 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. Woo! Soul Shraya.
Vasudeva continued, my dear friend, it is very difficult for us to live together. Although we have our family and relatives, sons and daughters, by nature's way, we are generally separated from one another. That happens all the time, right? You've got like your extended family, and even if you're close, it's like, especially in this day and age, even back then it was hard. to see each other. You know, your obligations just kind of keep you occupied. The reason for this, okay, and this is interesting, he's going to give a philosophical perspective, is that every living entity appears on this earth under different pressures of fruitive activities, karma, right? Although they assemble together, there is no certainty of their remaining together for a long time. According to one's fruitive activities, according to one's karma, one has to act differently and thereby be separated. So your karmas are going to take you in all sorts of multi-branched directions. And although we might, want to be in this idyllic, utopic world, with our friends and family forever, it's not going to happen, at least in this plane, right?
Yeah.
Because of the nature of karma. It's like the force of the river is going to pull you apart.
Yeah.
For example, many plants and creepers are floating on the waves of the ocean. Okay, here you go. The very analogy, except it's an ocean here. Sometimes they come together and sometimes they separate forever. One plant goes one way and another plant goes another. Similarly, our family assembly may be very nice while we are living together, but after some time, in the course of the waves of time, we are separated. Okay, Prabhupada is going to give a purport to this. The purport of this expression by Vasudeva is this: although he had 8 sons born from the womb of Devaki, unfortunately they were all gone. He could not even keep his one son Krishna with him. Vasudeva was feeling his separation, Krishna's, but he could not express the real fact. So he's trying to express his experience of being separated from family members, and he's saying that under the guise of his separation from Nanda, but under the surface his real feeling here is in regards to Krishna. Please tell me about the welfare of Vrindavan, he said. You have many animals. Are they happy? Are they getting sufficient grass and water? Please also let me know whether the place where you are now living is undisturbed and peaceful. Right, so it's like these are nice pleasantries, right? It's always good to ask, how people's situation is.
Yeah.
But it's like the deeper level here, right? The double entendre. The inquiry was made by Vasudeva because he was very anxious about Krishna's safety. He knew that Kamsa and his followers were trying to kill Krishna by sending various kinds of demons. They had already resolved that all children born within 10 days of the birthday of Krishna should be killed. Because Vasudeva was so anxious about Krishna, he inquired about the safety of his residents. He also inquired about Balaram and his mother Rohini, who were entrusted to the care of Nanda Maharaj. Vasudeva also reminded Nanda Maharaj that Balaram did not know his real father. He knows you as his father. Okay, he's saying, a lot of pronouns here. Vasudeva is saying that Balaram knows you, Nanda, as his, Balaram's father. So Balaram and Krishna both, they accept Nanda and Yashoda as, well, Nanda, Yashoda and Nanda and Rohini as their foster parents. Okay, and now you have another child, Krishna, and I think you are taking very nice care of both of them. It is also significant that Vasudeva inquired about the welfare of Nanda Maharaj's animals. The animals, and especially the cows, were protected exactly in the manner of one's children. Vasudeva was a Kshatriya, and Nanda Maharaj was a Vaishya. It is a duty, so they're in different classes. Kshatriya is a higher class. That's the administrative, ruling, warrior class. And Vaishya is the mercantile farmer class. It is the duty of the Kshatriyas to give protection to the citizens, and it is the duty of the Vaishyas to give protection to the cows. The cows are as important as the citizens, just as the human citizens should be given all kinds of protection, so the cows also should be given full protection.
I agree. I really do.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's a whole topic unto itself, cow
Yeah.
protection.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's like, who was it? Was it Gandhi who said you can tell the maturity basically of a civilization or a society based on how they treat uh, um, vulnerable populations,
Yeah.
meaning the elderly, children, and the animals.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like you think you've got a really good thing going with your capitalism. Not that we're gonna make us have a capitalism here. It's not the scope, but it's like the success of that is measured by the welfare of the living entities in your society. So it's like, you know, I don't know who it was that decided that the measure of success of a nation was their gross domestic product. It's like how much
Yeah.
money they're making,
Yeah.
because that is you know, in the past few decades, the paradigm shift of, you know, has really exposed the fallacy of that.
Yeah.
That's not what makes you successful if it's at the cost of happiness. Like, it's obvious, it's common knowledge that the richest countries are not the happiest. You know, it's the ones that provide for a holistic, beautiful, aesthetic experience of life. And if it's all about money, and therefore build as many factories as possible, pollute as much as possible, you know, just produce, you know, as we were talking about earlier, you know, your vocation just being a grind,
Yeah.
you're gonna burn yourself out. And it's like, yeah, you're just completely missing the point of life. Point of life is not to grind, right? It's to enjoy, you know. And so this world is like a garden. And if you're just trampling over it, you know, because you've missed the point, right? You think the goal of life is to be as rich as possible, you know, as we were saying at the beginning of the show, because that's what's going to give you the best pursuit of happiness. Well, you're dead wrong. You know, that's being proven. We're seeing that. Rather, what this literature is suggesting, more than suggesting, what it's claiming is that the cow is like very pivotal figure in the pursuit of happiness, actually.
I have to agree wholeheartedly with that statement, because cows are very special beings, and there is something about them that is very mystical and very spiritual and very sacred. And it's a revelation that I've come into over the years, over the past, let's just say 2 years, is like you just start to love them, because you start to love them because you start to realize what they represent and who they are and why they are. And everything about cows is like, it's not just that, like we're all a bunch of vegan or vegetarian people and we just hate people that kill cows. It's not that. That's a very external, very, very shallow way of thinking. The way of thinking is like you actually love cows. Like you realize how important they are, and you realize what they represent, and what they represent are, Krishna talks about serving the servant of the servants. By serving cows, by being nice to cows, you're serving the servant of the servants. and by being nice to cows and loving them, that pleases Krishna like crazy.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, for sure.
and they're beautiful creatures.
And they're also considered one of our, you remember from a few shows ago? Mother's Day?
They are considered to be our mother.
Yeah. Yeah, and actually
They
the
really are.
beginning of the reading, you know, or actually the end of yesterday's reading, those pure elements, right? What were they throwing on each other? How many of those things came from a cow?
What?
All of them.
Cheese.
Butter, yogurt, milk. So, yeah, so the cow is providing what this literature is. It's making another claim that these are pure elements.
Yeah.
They don't contaminate you, including the stool of the cow and the urine of the cow.
Which is another crazy thing. That's a whole nother thing. We should talk about that at some point.
Okay.
We're running a little late.
But it, you know, science is confirmed, like it's making a claim, and science has confirmed what little that it can from the biological level that yes, somehow or other, manure is antiseptic. It's like, well, that's very interesting. It's not the kind of fact that you can just disregard, especially when a whole culture is endorsing the sacredness.
Yeah.
Lest we not forget what sacred means.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
All right. Well, I think that's a great note to end on.
Yes,
As much
sir.
as I hate to end, but we're trying
Close to the end of the chapter.
We're trying to keep these shows to
Yeah,
exactly 60 minutes, so people will actually watch them.
Maybe.
So thank you, Balaram. Thank you for our guests. Thank you, people of YouTube, people of the internet. Thank you very much for watching our shows. Please comment, subscribe, like our humble attempt at reading the Krishna book. And thank you for joining us on this journey. Let us recite now the Maha Mantra 3 times, and then we will dip. All right. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Thank you again so very, very much. And we will see you next time on the Soul Tribe Podcast.
Haribo.